let's get started with first session. This is GradPrep. Thanks everybody for coming in today. We're going to do two sessions today. First one we're going to call one is GSSC, and then we'll take you through kind of what we offer as a success center. Give kind of an overview, give everybody a chance to ask some questions. And then for our second session today, my two writing coaches will come in and kind of give an idea of kind of what is graduate writing, how to make that transition. Just kind of give you some idea of tips and tricks to be successful. And also picture services on that front too, to do a lot of help in that area. So before we get started, I'll introduce myself. My name is Wayne Cochrane. I am the Graduate Student Success Coordinator here in the Graduate College. I run the Graduate Student Success Center, so you'll see those letters GSSC quite a bit. That is us here in Riverman Hall. My office is in 117, which is around the corner. That big glass office right in the front there. We are here for a lot of different things. I'll go through here in the next half hour, 40 minutes or so, as to what we have. If there are any questions in the meantime, throw your hand up. Don't be shy to ask questions. I'll leave a little time at the end. If you need time to digest that stuff and ask questions later, that's fine too. We do tend to do a lot of programs and stuff to the web fairly quick. Just so I have an idea here of the people in the room here, how many of you are starting a master's program? 2, 3, and then your doctoral? Well, you're still, okay. That is true, you're a certificate. So, looks like most of you are at the master's certificate. That is good. So, generally what I like to do is to kind of use the website as a tool. A lot of the stuff that we have is online. We're going to be working on our website here over the next few weeks. Some of these pieces may look a little different as we go, but the structure should stay roughly the same. So, what I have here pulled up here is the Graduate College website. This is weird for me, it's the first time I pulled it up on my pictures up there, but that's me with the 3-minute thesis group from last year. We'll go over that probably toward the end of the presentation today. But this is kind of your one-stop shop here for anything you might need graduate college. Now there's a lot of stuff that goes on here that isn't Success Center related, but I like to always start there because it's an easy place to reference. And then, where's the picture? You'll see this little line here that says Graduate Student Success Center. That is me, that is my shop. Click on that. The page is going to look a little similar, but as you can see here, we have this broken down into about 4 or 5 categories that we'll talk about today. We have professional development opportunities. We do thesis and dissertation information, so at some point in your program, when you get to that spot where you mentioned maybe doing a thesis, that is my office as well. So you'll deal with me for that. We'll talk about the workshops that we offer in addition to the GradPrep one you're already at today. And then we'll talk about our writing assistance program, which is kind of our tentpole for what we can offer with assistance. We'll generally start with that. We'll be rolling over this today. You'll meet our writing coaches here in just a little bit. But just a little bit of backstory on this is that when I started this job, we were just the thesis and dissertation office. And as I mentioned before, I would still handle those documents. The dean came down to me and looked and said, how do we help students improve the quality of their writing? How do we meet them where they are? How do we get not only better documents, but also just better writers in general? So we came up with this idea of Bronco Finish Line. And what basically I have is I have 2 writing coaches, and I have 2 graduate assistants who kind of help format and process theses and dissertations. Kind of together as a team, what we can do is we will attack or address any writing problem you might have, big or small, whether that does happen to be thesis or dissertation down the road, if that's an article you're trying to get published, all the way down to a class assignment. We've had students come in and help with craft language for their message board. That doesn't happen as often as some of the bigger papers, but that is an indication that there is nothing writing related that we won't coach on or help students with. From classwork all the way up to whatever comes at the end of your culminating activity. To do that, and I say these pictures aren't accurate because we'll get those up this week. These are my coaches from last summer, but we'll still use these as an example because the links will work roughly the same. So we have 2 kind of avenues to do it here. We'll have 2 writing coaches on staff, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to access Underneath the picture in the bios that will be updated this week, you'll see an orange button that says schedule an appointment with, and then we'll have Katie and we'll have Alex. What you'll do is you'll pick there'll be little bios there, you'll pick a button to look at it, and it'll take you to a calendar. And obviously these calendars aren't active because these are inactive students, but when the calendars are up here, hopefully by Wednesday, what you'll see is little time blocks. We schedule in half-an-hour blocks. And you'll pick a block that works for whatever coach you pick, and then for your schedule. You'll click the button. It'll take you to a little form that'll help you identify who you are for us. It'll just be basic information, name, email, department number, program, not department number, program. There's a box in there that generally asks you like what kind of help are you looking for. And again, that you can be as specific or as broad as you'd like to be on that, as far as what you want to get out of that meeting. There's a little box there to allow you to send in a work ahead of time. Say if you know you're working on something specific, so you've got a paper or something back from a professor that says, hey, you need to work on this, or you've done up a draft and you want someone else to look at it. We generally ask for that in advance if you can, because that gives the coach a chance to prepare, to kind of understand where you're coming from, where you're going, and be able to form some opinions on that. That way when you do commit to that half-hour appointment, you guys can kind of work through a lot of that in time and manner. Now that being said, if you just want to come in and meet with one of our coaches to brainstorm, to talk about ideas, just anything that's general writing related, we do that as well. So don't feel like you have to have that actual piece of writing to come in and meet with one of our coaches. We have lots of students who use this to brainstorm ideas as an accountability piece, to kind of come in and just say, hey, here's my progress, here's where I'm at. And we have a lot of students who come in on a regular basis. We can handle all of that. So if you end up having to be one of the students who comes in a lot or comes in on a regular basis, that's great. If you come in and access this once in a while and you run into an issue, we'd love to be here to help with that as well. But again, we generally tailor that half-an-hour session to whatever you need it to be. And that can vary from time to time as well. So you tell us what you need, we'll meet you where you are, and we'll help you get through whatever challenge that is, or whatever thing you want assistance with. We're there for it. We allow students to make 2 appointments a week. Now that's based on variability as well. If there's a time where our coaches have the availability and you want to schedule that extra piece, I'll let the coach work that out with you. But generally we try to keep that to 2 pieces or 2 appointments per week. Generally because that just keeps the calendar open. I think it gives the students, when they come in, time to digest and work through whatever information they've got from the coach. And it also just keeps the coach fresh as they go through. Considering they're also graduate students and they have work of their own as well, so try to be respectful of that. The other way we have, if you don't necessarily want to have an actual meeting with a coach, we do allow people to submit this button here where it says submit email consultation today. And this is going to take you to a pretty easy form. There's just kind of the guidelines there. If you want to submit something, you want somebody to get some eyes on it, you want somebody to go through, and you go through and make sure that this is readable. I'm not sure about my transitions, I'm not sure how concise this is. Can somebody just kind of give you feedback on that? We can do that. We ask you to submit 10 pages at a time, because that's the perfect chunk for a coach really to be able to look at that and give good feedback in a time minute. We generally try to turn those around in 2 to 3 days. A lot of times it's quicker, depending on the volume we have. So keep that in mind if you may have a deadline coming up. We can get things in and out fairly quickly, but keep that in mind that we're not necessarily going to be able to turn something out if you've got something to do the next day. Certainly submit something and ask questions, maybe. I would never tell you not to submit something, but just keep that in mind, and if you can give us 2 or 3 days lead time, that's the best. And then here's what the form looks like. Let's just slide down. It's pretty basic. So name, ID number, email address. Here's where you can get into the writing coaches, or where you can access our formatting assistance. If you get to a point where you're doing a bigger paper that has references, whatever you're using, APA, IEEE, whatever you happen to be using, we can provide assistance with some of that formatting up too. When it comes to thesis and dissertation, we have an actual template we work with. But our graduate students are fairly knowledgeable, so if you had a question about something else, if they can't find the answer or help you with that directly, we can find the answer for you, so don't be afraid to utilize that as well. There's a couple different types of consultations you can ask for here. If you just have a quick question, you want somebody to answer, throw that in there, you'll get a response back very quickly. One of our coaches will respond. Those don't really have a limit, those are just answering questions here or there. You can ask for a formatting check, and say if you're having issues with citations, page numbers, margins, things of those nature, we can help you work through some of those challenges. Or you can ask what we call a spotlight review, which is what I mentioned earlier, where you can submit up to 10 pages and ask for basic feedback. And again, you can get specific or as broad as you want. If you just want somebody to look at that overall, great. If you know there's something that you're struggling with or that you've been told to work on, you can tell us, hey, watch for this. This is really what I need help with. And we can hone in on that particular point. Again, the idea is that you tell us where you are, and we'll tailor that review to whatever you need it to be. And then don't forget to attach your file at the bottom, so you can keep that. Hadn't set kind of the same restrictions on that. We'll generally try to keep that to 2 submissions a week, so you can do 2 10-page chunks. We do have students utilize that, especially when you get toward maybe a larger project. If you are working on a thesis or dissertation, that is going to run, 50, 60, 100 pages or whatever it is. You want to break those up into chunks. But again, that's just to keep our coaches fresh, but also to make sure that the feedback we give is kind of on point and useful to the student. And you'll find when you work with coaches as well, you build a relationship with them again. If there's an instance where there's an extra 10 pages or the coach looks at that extra page, that is something you can work with one coach. These are just kind of basic parameters we have to kind of keep everybody kind of on the same schedule. Those do ebb and flow a little bit as we go, like I say, because we do kind of tailor that personally for each coach and each student. I highly encourage students to do this while they're here, even if nothing else. If you're not struggling with writing, and maybe you aren't, it's still helpful, I believe, to get other non-specific or non-program specific guides on what you work on. I know when I work with thesis and dissertation, especially for the engineering and some of the more science-based ones, more equation-based or formula or research-based, some of that stuff I don't understand because I'm not a scientist by trade. No, what I can do when I look at that, and what I generally try to do with those is just look at, can I at least understand where the argument's going from A to B? Can I follow this? Is this readable? Even if I don't understand what every line means, I can at least follow the argument and be able to say, wait a minute, is that what you meant by this? Is this where you wanted us to go? Is that what you were trying to say in this? So that's what we can do as coaches. Even if there isn't anything for us to help with content-wise, we can at least step in and take that. We're going to look at it from that non-part or that lay audience view, where we're going to focus really on the writing and the story and understanding as opposed to the actual content, if that makes sense. So I encourage you to do that at the time that you're here. At some point, I think it's a really valuable resource to have. Again, it's, take it for as little or as much as you want. That's the nice thing too, is it's really easy to plug into and plug out depending on where you're at schedule-wise over the course that you're here. And I just usually stress with the group, especially with our incoming graduate students. This is obviously very valuable service that kind of was built toward the end of the process when we talk about a thesis. But we really have built it out to the point where, it's applicable anytime you're here, because you're going to be writing the whole time you're in your graduate school, whether it's for your classes, for grants, for articles. And I know for a lot of programs, the push is to publish as early as possible. So there's never a time that's too early for you guys to come in and access our services in whatever manner you need to help you get over whatever challenges and help you get through whatever you're working through. Are there any questions on it? And we'll transition now. The next thing we're going to talk about is workshops. And I'll apologize, this is the page that gives the most work. I started working on it a little bit, but we're going to work on cleaning this one up. But we have various programs that we have here. You'll see that most of them have grad in front of it. So if you see grad program, it's most likely mine. There's a couple that aren't, but most of them are. You're obviously here for GradPrep. It's what we do in the week leading up to the orientation every fall and spring. GradPrep here is designed to give you just an overview of what's available service-wise. We'll have some more activities as we go throughout this first semester that we're here to give you an idea of also who we partner with, at the library, parking, things that first semester students are going to have to interact with. And we'll have content on that as we go through the next 3 weeks here, so be on the lookout for those. But we'll also get these sessions posted, the 4 that we're doing this week. But the idea is to take that idea of orientation, which is super great, super nice to be able to see some of the different departments, some of the different people welcoming you to Boise State. But for GradPrep, we also get a chance in larger chunks. Like instead of getting a 5-minute window to give you an overview of my programs, I get a chance to talk to you for a little longer and give you a little bit more in-depth idea of what we do here. And then also be able to meet some of the other graduate students and talk about other things that you might struggle with or you might have to fix while you're here. So I think it's highly important. It's one of the best things I think we do to get ready for the semester and have incoming students hopefully hit the ground running next week when school starts. Throughout the semester, throughout the school year, we'll do what we call GradSkills presentations. Last spring, we did not get the chance to do any. We were a really busy semester and it just didn't fit schedule-wise. But generally, we try to do at least 1 or 2 per semester. I'll involve my writing coaches in this, and what we'll do here is an opportunity for them to put on presentations that will help you build skills while you're here. We've done workshops on how to prepare for defense, how to hear about for finals, how to keep all your research notes together, use some of the resources that are out there for citation management. We've done some. We had a trivia contest once. I mean, we're just going to do things that are relevant that we see either the students are telling us about as they come in for appointments, or something maybe one of our coaches has seen in one of their classes, or just is super passionate about. And then we'll invite the students to come in and participate in that. We generally try to include faculty when we can as well. So some of the workshops will be put on by faculty members as well. It's just a way to stay current and stay connected and give students a chance to learn and add skills outside of the classroom in the regular programs. We also do what we call a GradWrite, which is our writing retreat. We generally try to do this for the full week between the semesters in January, wherever that happens to fall on the calendar. It's usually the first full week in January, where we'll invite students to come for a week and just write. We'll reserve rooms on the 3rd floor here, usually in River Hall. And then just kind of you guys can just fan out. We provide snacks and coffee, which are really key, especially in January when no one wants to come to campus and meet me. But the opportunity there is just to get a head start on something you may need to work on for the spring semester. Maybe you're working on a giant paper, maybe working on a giant project. We're going to give you that time and space to write and really get a jump start on that for the spring semester. My staff will also be on hand, so there'll also be a point of view to be able to just access a coach or me or one of my staff real time if there's an issue or there's something that pops up. And it's also a chance to work peer to peer, so we'll hopefully glean students from all different colleges around town or around campus. And I think that's very valuable, which, if you're necessarily sitting with an engineer or a social scientist, maybe you're not in the same field, but a lot of times you're struggling with the same things. And again, the feedback you get from that fellow graduate student that reads that and says, oh, that's great, but it's way more impactful sometimes than what I might be able to tell you if I were to cross some stuff out and say, hey, this is how you should change this. We're generally trying to do at least one of these per semester, 2 on Saturday. Generally trying to pick Saturday, but like before the major deadline, it's in the middle of the semester. So there will be some opportunities for that as well, so watch out for those. Again, I highly recommend coming to that session, especially if you do know you've got something looming, whether that's immediately or in that semester, or even just something you want to get a head start on. Take advantage of that. I think it's pretty valuable. And it's a chance to just be and have space. I know as a graduate student, that was some of the problems I usually had with a bigger project. It wasn't that I couldn't do it, it's that I had trouble getting started sometimes. So don't be afraid to utilize us for that. Let's see. At the bottom of the page there, it also says additional resources. I will also tell all students that I meet, especially in groups like this, so they come in to talk to me. We do have a lot of programs. I just kind of went through some of the ones we've offered. We do tend to be flexible and tailor our skills, our projects to the the skill sets of the people we have. With rotating graduate students, it's nice because you can tailor what you do to the strengths of the people you have with you, which helps them get stuff out of the workshops as well. If for some reason there is a workshop that isn't listed there that will be helpful for you or a cohort or your group, whatever it happens to be, please let me know. Just shoot me a line and says, hey, I've got a group of students here and we're all struggling with this. Or have you ever given a presentation on this topic? If we have, great. I mean, that's pretty easy to go back and say, look, we did that before, we can certainly do that again here. Here's what we do. If it's not something we've done before, I will be willing to work on it. While I can't guarantee that, we'll be able to do that and that, X, Y, or Z, we'll do what we can to create something along those lines. The example I use is a couple years ago, I had a student who came to me and said, look, my major professor wants me to have a better handle on grammar. Do you guys do a grammar workshop? We had at that point, hadn't been a skill set that we've had available to us. But I told him, if you can help me find a faculty member who is fluent in grant writing and is willing to give of their time, I will be more than willing to set up a workshop. And it took us a few weeks to kind of wrangle schedules and make sure it would happen. But we did. We put on a grant writing workshop about a month later. It was very well attended. I mean, the student came and he brought his whole cohort, and the faculty member was generous enough to give us almost 2 hours. And we scheduled it for 90 minutes, but I think she went for almost 2 hours. But that's just an example. If there is something that comes up in your cohorts, let us know. There's always ways we can be adaptable. If we have to find a partner, we'll find a partner. We really want to be able to make sure that our topics are relevant and cohesive for whatever you're doing in your studies as well. So don't be afraid to ask questions or ask even if you don't see something that's readily available. Any questions on workshops? Yeah.
Is there a calendar online or
That is a good question. So the question is there a calendar online or an email list? There has not been a calendar previously. That is an excellent idea. I'm gonna write that down. We do generally tend, when we do events like that, we pull lists. Depending on the audience, we'll pull lists from whether it's specific to a certain group or sometimes we send out to the broader list as well.
So Wayne,
Yeah.
those items are listed on the graduate college calendar.
Yes.
But yes, we talked about what we
Yeah.
get a calendar for the GSSC.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So yes, events person's pointing out, yes, those are listed on the graduate calendar. So anytime we do an event, those do go up on our calendar, and I think that feeds into the greater calendar. So the information is out there. We don't have a specific calendar like on this page that would give you just that, but that information is there. And then as far as the email lists, we usually try to pull, depending on how broad our topic is, and try to hit groups that will work on that. A lot of the stuff we do send out to the broad university as well, if it's broad enough topic. But keep an eye on that stuff. And if you are interested in that, you see something on the website you haven't gotten an email about, always just email me or let me know, and I can always get that information to you as well. But that's a good question. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to click on this tab. I don't want everybody to get nervous about it. I know this is a ways away, but I guess if you're all probably at the master's level, it's probably closer than you would think. Again, this is our one-stop shop for thesis and dissertation. So if you're in a program where you think you'll end up doing a thesis, and I know there's programs that do a lot of different things, and that's totally fine if you're going to do a project or portfolio. But all of our thesis and dissertation information is housed right here. And I'm not going to go through every box because that will take more than an hour. And frankly, I don't think it will be all that interesting. But kind of what you can look for here, you can find deadline dates, you can find what documents you need, how to submit, how to format, how to prepare for your defense. The template I mentioned earlier is in there. Any resource you might need for creating a thesis or dissertation is housed on this page. And obviously, as you get into that, if that's something I'm doing here in the next 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is, we'll obviously be around to support you as well. I don't want you to think that, well, there's the boxes who do it. I mean, our job here is to get you from point A to point B, and we can help you jump through most of those hoops. So please don't feel like you're alone in that. I want most students to know that There are a few things we have to do to be able to graduate you, but very rarely do I tell a student, here's X, Y, and Z, go for it. If you need me, walk you through it, I'll walk you through it. We try to trim that as much as possible, but I do want students to know that information is there when the time comes. If for no other reason you remember, hey, I went to that GradPrep session early on, and I know that I think Wayne's the person I need to talk to, which is great, because then you have a starting point to get to the information. And we can set you on the right path. All right. Any questions on that? I just got done reading like 35 theses and dissertation, so it's probably it's kind of on the brain a little bit. But. All right, for the last thing we'll talk about today, we're going to talk about two really solid areas of professional development that we kind of sponsor and/or support here in the graduate college. I'm going to slide down. This is weird. We're going to slide down here and talk about this first. So we have two major student competitions that we run every spring. The graduate students showcase and 3-minute thesis. The graduate student showcase, which it always happens in April, and obviously that we'll rotate that as things get fresher and we'll get dates up as we get into next spring. But it's always the first part of April. It's a poster presentation conference. I'm sure maybe some of you have worked on a poster project as an undergraduate maybe. But it's an idea for you to sign up and be in a room with a poster here that represents your work, talk to judges, faculty members, audience members. It's just a chance for you to share your work. There's money and cash prizes involved as well for those that put together the best performance and the best poster. But really, it's an idea there where you can get the word out as to not only why you're passionate about your work, but why it's important for whatever you're working on, how it fits into the broader scheme of society. It just gives you an idea, a way to show off your work as you go through here. It's a great day. I mean, it's also one of my favorite days of the year. I don't actually necessarily administer this competition, but we also provide support as well. So we'll also have some workshops coming up in the days leading up to the showcase as well as to how to distill, maybe what you're working on into a shorter elevator pitch. How do you put together a poster that's informative but not busy? All those things, all those little nuances that go into how to put those together. We'll partner with the library, so you'll have an idea of where to go for resources, like how to print, how much stuff costs, some of the resources you have on that front. So we'll do some of that as the Success Center. But I highly encourage all students that are here at some point to participate in the showcase. Because I think it's a great opportunity to not only win some recognition, but also again just to show off what you do. And then I'll scroll back up because the one that the Success Center actually administers here, we call 3-minute thesis. Don't let the name throw you. Anybody that's doing research here at Boise State can do a 3-minute thesis. You don't have to be doing a thesis or a dissertation. This has to be research-based. You have to be a current student doing research. Generally, a lot of students do research on whatever their culminating research activity is. Some don't. I've had some students who have really been passionate about something they did in one of their classes and have wanted to present that as a 3-minute thesis topic, which has been fine. So that adds value there. So again, any research that you're doing here would be eligible. So you might ask, what is 3-minute thesis? That's a weird title. It's really oddly specific to amount of time. This competition really is unique in that you get 3 minutes and you get one slide to distill your work to a lay audience. So you have to talk to a panel of judges who are not in your field, have no idea what you're talking about, and who may not understand what you're working on because it's complex. You have to find a way to distill that into not only of what it is, but why it's important and where it fits in the grand scheme of the broader society and broader implications. This picture it's a little old. We probably should name a different one. But this is an idea of what you have per competition there. The student is given those 3 minutes. You can see the slide up behind him there. I can say that slide took probably a few iterations before we got to that one. But the same thing goes with showcase. One of the things that we've done with 3-minute thesis is, at its heart, it's a competition. It is, and it always will be. There are cash prizes available. There's a chance to compete. We've been competing in a statewide 3-minute thesis for 5 years now. We've had students compete at regional graduate school competition. We've had 2 students go to nationals in the last 4 years. So I mean, there is a competition, there is a chance for advancement and really solid recognition as we go through that. But at the end of the day though, my goal is to get as many students to participate in 3D as possible, because while there's only a small handful of winners that compete for the top prizes here and then do go on, every student who gets sponsored with 3-minute thesis here gets a chance to compete in front of a judge. And we'll also support you and help you build skills, because that's the thing I would look at with 3-minute thesis, is that the goal here, well, one is to have fun. I always like to have fun whatever we do on that front. But 2, again, is to build that skill. So even if you don't walk away with a cash prize or a chance to go to state or regionals, you'll be able to, 1, be more confident in talking about your work with strangers, with lay audience, whether that's someone you might meet on the street, whether that's someone you meet in a conference, someone you have to ask for money later on who doesn't understand what you're working on. You're going to have those skills to fall back on and say, look, I was able to talk about this in that 3-minute allotment with limited audio visuals, and be able to do that clearly and concisely. It's a skill you'll never be without as you go through this. I will help you build those skills. As we talked about earlier, we do a series of workshops. We'll do one on how do you break down and communicate that scholarship. We'll do one on how to put together a slide. As far as how does that represent your work, how do you find that sweet spot between information and graphics so that it enhances what you're saying. And then I think the third piece that is unique to us is that we do a stage presentation workshop as well. We'll bring in somebody from the theater department, and as odd as it may seem, they will take you through how they get prepared to do theater. How do you breathe? How do you move? What do you do with your hands when you don't know what to do with your hands? You know, the idea of slowing your speech down, speeding it up, you know, finding that right mark, finding that right eye contact, all those things that they do naturally as actors to get ready and to convey on screen and on stage. That factors into our presentations. I mean, of all the students who have done 3-minute thesis, I mean, have done fantastic work. They know their project in and out. If you sat down with them across from them and asked them, what are you working on? They could talk to you for hours probably about what goes into their experiments, you know, where the high points were, what the low points were, where they went wrong, where this new avenue opened up, and it's, you know, ebbs and flows. But just being able to distill that down into a presentation where you can convey that in a short amount of time, again, is a pretty valuable skill to have, especially as you, again, go through life for whatever is after graduate school, whether that's more academia, another degree, work in the private sector, work in the public sector. There's going to be times where you're going to intersect those and need to be able to convey that information. Again, it's a skill you can lean on. So my goal there, again, to reiterate that, is that yeah, you want to win, you want to do well. I want you to succeed, but I want you to build those skills and be able to walk out of here knowing that's what I got out of 3-minute thesis. I've had a few students who have done it multiple times too. So it's not something you only have to do once. Once is fine if that's what you want to get out of it. But I also highly encourage students to do that while they're here as well, because it's a process, it's a chance to build skills. We push your comfort zone a little bit. I've had several students who were not what we call natural public speakers that push themselves to do that, and you can see the growth in that as you go through to where from the first point where they're like reading like this, and I get them up on stage and then make eye contact. And yeah, maybe the nerves are still there. But you get to the point where you have a more comfortable time up there as well. So there's a lot of reasons to push through that. And again, I'm here. I am lucky enough to get to see all of that because I kind of work with the students as they come in. I get to see all the rough cuts as they work on other things. And I get to see them at the end when they're standing up there on a stage like that and are ripping off at 3 minutes and just it's all polished. And it's great to see that progression from beginning to end. So I encourage all students to do that while they're here. And again, it doesn't have to be a thesis or dissertation. So if you find something you're super passionate about, that you have research shared at Boise State and want to talk to somebody about it, it's very input community. So let me see. I think I went through most of what we do there. Any questions? And I'll admit when I start talking, I'm going to give the what is GSSC here. And that is a lot of information, 40 minutes. We do a lot of stuff here, which is great. And there's 5 of us that work. Well, 5 of us here, and then obviously we have a lot of partners, both at graduate college and elsewhere, that really help us to put our message out as well. But that again is a snippet of what we do. And our bedrock here, it's in the name here, is success. Our bedrock here is we're here to help you succeed. We've created a lot of programs that we think are very good, that students like. We're always open to creating more programs as students come through. Most of what I've just showed you there, other than Minute Thesis, which came from Australia, and the showcase, which was already here. But all those programs we talked about, the skills, the writing help, GradPrep, GradWrite, all of that stuff came out of, hey, how can we better serve students, or how are we connecting with them? What are we missing? How can we better? And just an idea of, hey, let's try this. Some programs work better than others. I mean, obviously, we've had some programs that were really great on paper that didn't work in the real world. But our goal here is to find and keep continually innovating and finding ways to help you guys be successful while you're here. And knowing that success is different for each one of you. We try to hit as broad as we can, because I know we have a great audience. I mean, we touch all 6 colleges here on campus for graduate school. We're the only place on campus where you can get a business student one day and an engineering student the next. But we are well aware, though, that there are going to be a lot of students who don't necessarily fit all the exact pieces. And we're willing and able to be nimble enough to meet you wherever that happens to fall. And if that's something we already have, great. If we don't, then let us know, and we will do our best to fill that gap and provide what you need to be successful. And if we can't do it, we'll help find someone on this campus who can, because that's also what we can do, is we can be that ambassador to reach out to different programs and departments to say, hey, this is a need we have, what can we do? And we'll be as nimble as possible. Maybe there isn't a solution for every problem per se, but we will go to bat and make sure that you have what you need to be successful here, which I think makes us unique on a lot of levels. No more questions? About anything really? About a few minutes here. All right. Well, let me end with this then. I will slide down. At the bottom of this page here, connect with us. I don't know if this is accurate, so I'm going to push the button. We'll see. There's Riverfront Hall. So my office is in room 117, which again is just around the corner here in the front. You'll come in, it's a giant office there on the bottom floor with two glass walls. Should say Graduate Student Success Center and all that stuff on the front. We are generally here, we are here Monday through Friday. Generally, like I say, I'm here 3 days a week, but always available when I'm not. Again, I've got two writing coaches who are here. I've got 2 processors who are here. The recruiting office is also housed in 117. They're very knowledgeable about what goes on here at Boise State and helping students get plugged in as well. I know that we'll have a couple of graduate students at some point as well who will be on board. So there are a number of different people that you could potentially meet or ask questions of, or just come in and say hi to. Please don't hesitate to do so. You've got a postcard, but then when you take that with you, you scan the QR code on the back, it'll take you to that website that I was just running you through. And then obviously if you have any questions about the website there. The quickest way, just me. There's my information there. So there's my phone number and my email address. So Wayne Cochrane at Boise State University. But if you can't remember my name or anything else, so you can email this one right here. Just success@boise-state.edu. That also comes to me as well. That's our generic email address. So if nothing else, if you remember that email address, that will come to us as well.